Let's say you purchase a trip to Paris, your favorite city in the world. The flight and hotel cost you around $1,000, non-refundable. But by mistake, you accidentally booked a trip to Rome for the same dates as your Paris trip. The Rome flight and hotel cost you a total of $4,000, and it's also non-refundable. So now you have to make a choice. Do you take the $1,000 Paris trip or the $4,000 Rome trip? Let's see what happens when Rolf Debelli asked this question at one of his seminars.
So let's put this make it very clear. Do you go to Paris, which is your favorite city, and forget about the $4,000 you've paid for Rome? Or do you go to Rome and you forget about the $1,000 you've paid for Paris? Let's do a quick show of hands. Who of you, ladies and gentlemen, goes to Paris and you forget about the $4,000 you paid for Rome? Hands up. So that would be about 10%. Who of you goes to Rome and you forget about the $1,000 you've paid for Paris? That would be about 90%. Let's call it 80-20. So most of you go to Rome. Ladies and gentlemen, the correct answer is Paris.
The $5,000 total we spent for both trips is already gone. No matter which destination we choose, the money's not coming back. So the logical choice would be to choose the trip that brings you the most happiness, which would be Paris, our favorite city. The fact that the trip is $3,000 cheaper is irrelevant. It's an illusion that we get more of our money's worth if we took the expensive trip, because the real measure of our money's worth is the happiness that decision brings us, and not the amount of money we spend on it. This is an error in our thinking that we fall victim to all the time. It's called the sunk costs fallacy.
So the time and money and effort and whatever else you've already spent is what we call the sunk cost. It's gone no matter what you do going forward. And now you're just trying to decide, given that I've already spent that money or time or whatever, what choice is going to produce the best outcome for my future. And the sunk cost fallacy then means making a choice not based on what outcome you think is going to be the best going forward, but instead based on a desire not to see your past investment go to waste.
Sunk costs are costs incurred in the past that can't be changed. This idea usually applies to money, but the sunk cost fallacy also applies to our happiness. It takes place in almost all aspects of our lives where money, time, or emotion is invested. A harmless example is when we go to a buffet and we overeat. That's because we feel obligated to eat as much as we can to get our money's worth, even if it causes us stomach pain and causes us to gain unwanted extra fat. A more disturbing example of the sunk cost fallacy is when governments fall victim to it. We can see this with the war on drugs. We spend over $100 billion a year on the war against drugs. And nearly 50 years after doing this, the results are none to worse. Substance abuse is higher today than when it was started. By trying to get rid of the supply of drugs, they only increased the demand for it. So does it make sense to keep pouring billions and billions of dollars into something that isn't working?
When you institute a prohibition like we have with drugs in this country, what you are doing is not protecting people from other people. You are attempting to use law enforcement to protect people from themselves. Protecting you from yourself is a function of family, church, education, and the healthcare system. It never is and never should have been intended to be a law enforcement function. We are out there enforcing morality when we enforce drug laws, and that is not our job. We were not trained to do it. We are not capable of doing it. And if anything else, you see the failure of it. We've been doing this for over 40 years since Nixon kicked it off, and the drugs are more available, purer quality, and cheaper than they've ever been before on the streets of America.
The sunk cost pretty much is, most simply put, knowing when to quit, knowing when to hold and when to fold. So often in life, the sunk cost fallacy makes us mistakenly double down on our losses rather than quit while we're ahead. For example, say you're on a diet program and it's your cheat day, so you order some takeout for dinner, but you ordered way too much and no way you'll be able to finish it all tonight. When this happens, we always feel inclined to save the extra food and eat it the next day to not waste the extra food, even though eating it the next day would be going against our diet goal, making us take longer to reach it, causing us more pain along the way. Or say if we're smokers and we wake up one morning with that nasty, painful cough that causes us so much anguish that we just say right there and then, I'm done smoking. But then the thought pops into your head, crap, what about the half a pack of smokes I still got left? At this point, most smokers will choose to opt out of their original decision to quit so they don't waste that half a pack of cigarettes. And obviously, most of the time this results in the smoker not quitting at all. The money spent for that half a pack of cigarettes is gone and it's not coming back, whether you smoke them or not. That money spent for the food is gone and it's not coming back, whether you eat the leftovers or not. We only hurt ourselves further by trying to satisfy this feeling of getting our money's worth. Those leftovers are sunk cost. That half a pack of cigarettes is a sunk cost. Throw it away. The sunk cost fallacy is at its most dangerous when we've invested a lot of emotion into something, specifically love. Romantic relationships typically fall victim to the sunk cost fallacy. The longer we've been with somebody, the harder it is to break up with them. If we have 2 years invested in a relationship, we'll try to make something bad work, even though we know in our hearts that it's not right. In worst case scenarios, if enough time passes, we'll tend to stick with that partner no matter how vicious they get. The sunk cost fallacy is sometimes why people feel a need to stay in abusive relationships. They usually tend to think, but if we break up now, it'll all have been for nothing. But in reality, it's already nothing. If it's bad now, you're only assured more misery in the future. It's better to accept the 2 years that we had in a bad relationship as a learning experience and use our future time to find a better person. Our past investment in anything becomes a reason to carry on. This includes our career, our investments, and our relationships. The more money, time, or emotion we invest, the greater the sunk costs are, and the greater the urge to continue becomes, even if we're dealing with a lost cause. The easiest solution to know if you really want to stick with something or not is to apply what Brian Tracy calls zero-based thinking.
In zero-based thinking, you put every one of your previous decisions on trial for its life on a regular basis. You ask this question: is there anything that I am doing today that, knowing what I now know, I wouldn't get into again today if I had to do it over? Apply this question to every part of your life, especially to your job, your career, and your current situation. If you are not doing what you are currently doing, would you get into it again today, knowing what you now know about this area? Asking and answering this question takes a good deal of courage.
Ask yourself specifically about the thing you're questioning. Ask yourself, knowing what I know now about this job, would I still have chosen this career? Knowing what I know now about this person, would I still have chosen them as a partner? If the answer is no, then the next question that comes into your head should be, how do I get out of this and how quick can I do it? And the funny thing is, once we do get out of it, we'll usually have one more question that pops up, and that is, why didn't I do this a long time ago? The sunk cost fallacy is basically driven by our need for consistency, and deciding to stop doing something that we previously told ourselves we want to do creates a contradiction within us. We're admitting that we once thought differently, which makes us uncomfortable. But often we can change the entire course of our lives by having the courage to face up to the fact that our previous decision may not be as good as we originally once thought it would be. The sunk cost fallacy will pretty much be working in the corner of our brains for almost all major decisions in our life, because the major decisions in our life will most likely always involve investing our time, money, or emotion into it. But we have to remember, what's spent is spent. There's nothing we can do to regain money that's gone or time that's spent. By choosing to continue in something that makes us miserable, we're just digging that hole deeper and deeper.
So now I'm crazy because I don't love you, right? Is that the point?
No, wrong! You're not crazy, and you do love me. That's the point, April.
But I don't. I hate you. You were just some boy who made me laugh at a party once, and now I loathe the sight of you. Are you gonna hit me to show me how much you love me?
Don't worry, I can't be bothered. You're not worth the trouble it would take to hit you. You're not worth the powder it would take to blow you up. You are an empty, hollow shell of a woman. I mean, what the hell are you doing in my house if you hate me so much? Why the hell are you married to me? What the hell are you doing carrying my child? I mean, why didn't you just get rid of it when you had the chance? Because listen to me, I got news for you. I wish to God that you had.